Okay, welcome back, Happy Chapper. And this is about threes. As I was in my mind about them, and it came about that it was a good point to make. So, I know I mostly always talk about the light, and that's because we're in the light all the time. But that light creates a shadow of who we are and how we root into the body as being all. While spirit rises within us, it gives us that life to do things, to direct us in thought, feeling, and emotion. Or if we didn't have that light or spirit in us, all them senses to thought, feeling, emotion would be just that and nothing more. They would never be carried out into anything. And you could argue that you have the body to carry it all out, but what's to drive that body? You need that spirit, that light within you to move out and carry them tasks that you think, feel. So you can use that observation and put it into a creation. And as you do that, you get carried away by, I say you, I mean we, like. Say I'm no different. We get carried away by the structure of the framework that we create or that is creating through the pathway that spirit guides it. And when that happens, we forget about spirit giving us that drive to do that creation. And if you look at it like yin and yang, I'm sure most have seen this circle and it's interlinked black and white with a wee A in the thicker part of the black as it goes into the white and the white goes into the black. It's like a wee eye. And in that eye is like the opposite of the other side. I was looking for a pen. I was going to draw it out. So in the white it's like a fish at a swirl. And opposite the same, but one's black, one's white. But the eye of it is the opposite colour. So in the black you have the white eye, and in the white you have the black eye. And they come into each other so beautifully, so smooth. And that is just like us in life. We have both sides. And then each side, it just flows with each other. But there's also that small bit of darkness in the light, and the small bit of dark or light in the dark. And at any moment in time, that can just completely become darkness or completely become light. So you could have this side as white, light, and this side is darkness. But if the light in this darkness comes open up, you will have a completion of light. And you will have her in that. You will be in total spirit. And you could always say that we spot of darkness that was in the white light is always there. And it can come back and it could overpower the whole lot and be all dark. Or you could just balance the two together smoothly, linking them into one another, knowing that it's our choice to choose and change and how we feel towards things. Instead of going by how we're thinking and going by how we're feeling, directing ourselves, as we are the director of our lives. So, being a director, we're not getting caught in the scene. We're going back to the feeling of what we want from this film. And we're going to put that into the film and how we feel. And if that scene isn't giving back that feeling, then we need to change something in the scene to bring that balance from the physical to the non-physical, bringing it back to spirit. As spirit drives us to create, we need to create that to give that satisfaction to spirit within inside, and we will feel towards that. And if it's satisfying, spirit will let us know in bringing that white light into a fuller light or balance, where one doesn't overpower the other. They come in entwined into each other in balance, where there's never too much dark or never too much light. Or if there was, you would be running off all spirit or all body in ego, which will cause distortion either way. And some may say, what if you were all light? Would you be spirit? Would you go into an angel? From my experience, what you would get is the separation. Your body will become still, and your spirit will leave your body. And it's all consciousness, where your spirit is taken away, forgotten about the body, and back home to where it's from, in that godly consciousness that's within you, guides you. Can you sustain that though? That is something to be seen. But in my experience, I still had to come back to the body. Something in me, even though I'd forgotten and didn't want to come back, the body was still alerting me in some form or another that it was still there somewhere. I'd forgotten, but after time it came about. And because it was there in the light that we spotted darkness, in that light of the yin and yang, was triggering me to come back to the body. And it kept growing in that white light because I was a completion. But yet that wee spot of darkness would kept growing and growing to come back, for me to come back to my body. And what I found was, when I was sitting in the light, I was in an argument with myself that I didn't want to come back to the body. I was happy where I was. I was free. I could create whatever. I just was at peace. I was in heaven. And it was that beautiful, I didn't want to leave. I didn't care for the body anymore. But because I had that in creation, it wouldn't let go, because the yin and yang was still there. That wee spot of darkness was still in that light, which kept getting bigger and bigger, until I came back to the body and was back to balance again. And just like that, our ego can do the same thing on the outside, where we get trapped into that darkness of all that's outside of us, that we forget about the light within us and how to connect to it. But we've always got it with us. No matter how small or big it is within us, it's always there. And it can grow, just like the light did within me, and how I fed it through consciousness. So remember, it's balance that brings that peace, the harmony in the world that we can share with our brothers and sisters. And so then, when one wants to sit, when they feel that there's too much darkness overcoming them, they can sit in that balance and guide themselves to the light, till they feel that within themselves where they're at peace, and then come back into that balance again. And that spirit and ego work together as one in a unity. I suppose this is about balance of life. Anyway, that's my story of it. You can get trapped on either side. And with me, in how I found out being trapped, I didn't feel that I was trapped. Let me just explain that when I was in the light. But in a sense I was, because I didn't want to come back to the darkness, which was seen as the body and all that goes on in everyday life in the 3D form. I was happy where I was in that light. It had everything. But I still had that body to come back to. But when I came back to that body, I had to learn to bring that balance, because I still wanted to go back to the light. Even when I was in the body, I didn't want to be here in the body. I wasn't, I know I spoke of my past and how I felt and moments of suicidal and that, but this wasn't anything like that. This time I'd overcame all that. It wasn't a part of me anymore. But when I came back into the body and that darkness hit, I was battling it, and it didn't want to be the body. As I say, it wasn't in a suicidal way or anything like that. It was, I seen a better place, and I thought if I sat there and just been in that place all the time until the body did disappear, then I'd be free. But when I came back to the body, I seen it wasn't just about me. It was about everyone. When I was in the light, all I thought about was my own experience of life, and in a sense, it showed me the light could be selfish as well as the dark, as I singled out myself. But yet, when I come back to the darkness on the physical plane, it hurt so much more, because I could see things in another form of how they were created and how I needed to bring balance to life within others that was around me, and how I seen it, what they could not see. And then that became a conflict in the 3D world, which became a conflict in me, because I was battling everybody else in their darkness. And it would come on to me. And it made me just want to go back more to the light again, where I would do more and more practicing of going back to the light. But I learned to bring that light into the darkness, not to have it as one side and have the darkness as the other side, and then battling against each other. I had to bring them together and make them work smoothly with each other, like the yin and yang. Knowing that one could overpower the other at any time, because it had that symbol of darkness in the light and that symbol of light in the dark with the eye of the fish, but yet swirled like a storm. Because at any time it could be a storm, and it could change. But the awareness of it could always control that, in how I centered myself, in how I was thinking, feeling, what I was doing to all that was coming in from that, and how I would send that back out to the world in a vibration, by how I acted, how I spoke, how I said things, how I done things, and shared it, not just for myself, but for others, for all around, for the universal force of God. And I don't know, that just came out there and made me think. Someone was I've seen somewhere speaking of someone saying about how all energy is universal, not God. But yes, it all energy is universal energy, and you've got to understand though there's an intelligence in that energy that makes things move and create all that it creates. It just doesn't happen. It's not like if a glass of water here, it's not like it just appeared without some intelligence creating that. I had to go and get the glass, fill it up, and have that placement of water in it. But something within me created that to design me to do that, to nourish the body. That wasn't me as the person. It was a knowing that has came about in the 3D world, but there's an intelligent way behind that to create you. Like when you heal, you automatically heal yourself, but that comes through an intelligence that's way deeper than you or I. In the process of the universal energies moving. But if you look at it, it's God within you and around you that creates all that through consciousness. As if you had a slight cut, as I did on my finger just a couple of days ago, so we'll use that as a demonstration. Well, I knew if I kept it pressed together and wrapped it tightly, it will seal itself. And I think in all consciousness, we get that instinct feeling what to do to help the process of that intelligence to do its job. And when we work with it, it works a bit quicker. Like if you get a stomach ache or a headache, and because a lot of energy comes from your hands, what you tend to do is rub your head or rub your stomach. And just like that, any injury of any sort, massaging the tissues is a part of healing. And what you're doing is, as much as the intelligence that's within you is healing in its process, in its battle against the darkness that you've already feared, in the discomfort that has been brought to it, whether it be something that you ate or a physical accident of some sort that has caused a damage within the body, and your body's fighting against that battle. But what you do contributes to that in the power of your consciousness, in how you sense towards that, in how you're feeling. And then you go with the thoughts, oh, I'll rub that area, oh, I'll wrap that finger up tighter, and it'll hold it, and it'll stop bleeding. Oh, if I rub my head, what if I get something cooler and put it on my head? But you don't have all that thought in here. When you open up your brain and look for all them thoughts, they're not there. They come to you through that infinite intelligence that's guided through your body and the nervous systems, and how you're reacting to that and the vibration of it all. And it comes to you with thoughts through your feelings. And it takes us back to where we've began instead of, or on the spiritual side, but takes us away back from the whole physical side, because normally what we do is we're looking at something and we're thinking about it. And we think that much about it that brings a feeling into the body. So we reverse it by looking on the outside. But when it's something that's happened to us, what we'll do is we'll feel it. And then we'll look at the response to that feeling, how we're thinking, and we'll act towards that. But most of the time, we're looking on outside of ourselves, thinking about this or that we see, or what we heard, or what we smelt or taste. And then we feel towards that, and then we act. So instead of going in the clockwise circle, we reverse it, and we go against the time, we go against ourselves in how we begin to think, observing on the outside of things, or on the outside at things from ourselves. Anyway, this is Happy Chopper, and love always the way. Peace.